Hey everybody, I'm Xavier from Dr. Narayan's class, and today I'm going to be covering the shoelace experiment. My research question was which type of shoelace will stretch the farthest? So basically, I had four different types of shoelaces. I had a dress shoelace, a style shoelace, an outdoor shoelace, and a sports shoelace, and they're all different kinds. You're going to see them in a little bit. But basically, I was going to measure how far each one of them stretches out because they're different types. Obviously, they have different patterns. Some are braided and some aren't. And I was just curious about how far each one of them stretches out and the durability of shoelaces in general. So my hypothesis was that the dress shoelace was going to stretch out the farthest just because it was braided, and it looked like it had a lot more slack than the other ones. Now the outdoor one was also braided, but I'm going to get to the outdoor one in a little bit because that one's real special. So there has been research done in the past about shoelaces, but it's really about why they like become untied whenever you're wearing them. I believe it's called the shoestring theory. But there have been other experiments that dive into the field of stretching things out. For instance, there was if I don't know if any of you are climbers, but apparently climbers they worry about how far their ropes stretch out because they have to be elongated a certain distance because they're like just in case they fall, it's gonna need to elongate just so it can absorb the shock, so they don't get injured. So that's real important for them to know about. But other than that, I haven't seen any other shoelace theories or shoelace experiments. So I listed off the different types of shoelaces earlier, but what I didn't list off was you're gonna need a pencil, a tape measure, and a sturdy object to tie the shoelaces to. So the procedure, as you can see, I'll simplify it. You're gonna pick one of your shoelaces, tie one end of it to the doorknob, and you're gonna tie the other end of it to a pencil. And you're gonna need to pull it, not so much that you're stretching it out just yet, but you need to measure like the distance from the pencil, like the edge of the pencil, to the edge of the knot on the doorknob. And you're gonna get a tape measure. I had a partner go ahead and measure it for me because I couldn't hold it and measure it at the same time. But so you're gonna need a lab partner, and after you measure how far the original distance is, you're gonna record it in your table, and then you're gonna stretch it this time, and have the other person measure the distance now, and then you're gonna record that and compare it at the end, and repeat the same process with all the other shoelaces. And your variables, the independent variable here is the type of shoelace, because you got four different types. The control, which doesn't change, is that you're always going to be pulling it with that pencil and tying it to the. I chose a doorknob, but if you have a different object that won't move, that's good too. And the dependent variable is the length of the shoelace after it's pulled. So after the experiment, I found out that the outdoor shoelace was it had the most distance stretched out. It was 3 inches in total. But I noticed something else. Um, I was taking pictures of the shoelaces for the presentation, and I noticed that the outdoor shoelace was thicker than the dress shoelace. So as you can see here, the sport like think of it in pairs. The sport shoelace and the style shoelace they're not braided like the dress and outdoor. But when I was touching and feeling them, I noticed that the sport shoelace was thicker than the style, and the outdoor shoelace was thicker than the dress shoelace. And what did we find out? The outdoor shoelace stretched the farthest out of all of them, but something else that we found out was the sports shoelace stretched farther than the style shoelace. So something that the outdoor and sports both have in common is that they're both the thickest out of their pair. Like the outdoor is braided, but it's thicker than the dress, and it stretched farther than that one. And the sports one, it's not braided, but neither is the style. But the sports one was still thicker than the style, and it stretched farther. So I was a little off with my hypothesis, but I was still onto something because I knew that the braided shoelace was still gonna be longer, but I just picked the wrong braided shoelace. I didn't put the thickness in the factor until after I finished the experiment, and I was, like I said, I started touching the shoelaces again, and I found out that the outdoor shoelace was thicker than the dress shoelace. And these are my science related teaks. I chose these because I found them pretty easily because they are both in the force and motion section of the teaks website. So if you want to check out more of them, you can look on there. And that's all I got.